It's shortly after sunset over the Nevada-Arizona border, and we're on our way to Las Vegas. VFR navigation becomes more challenging at night, as a large proportion of your potential ground features are no longer visible. In terms of line features, major highways are typically your best bet. We are tracking the Route 93, which you can see down to your left. Follow the highway to get to our first waypoint, the Hoover Dam, where we will cross over into Nevada. We need to be cautious when choosing a road to follow after dark, as the road must be lit in order to remain visible, unless there is a steady stream of road traffic, allowing us to see their head and tail lights. A quiet, unlit road may be of no use during a night flight, no matter how clear and straight it may be in the daytime. Railways are practically invisible and of very little use. Coastlines may be useful, but this somewhat depends on the conditions, as bright moonlight can make distinguishing between land and water much more reliable. High terrain is almost always unlit, as the steep slopes and uneven terrain usually prohibits any large buildings or structures. To mitigate the threat of terrain, before departure we check the minimum safety altitude, MSA, for each leg of our route, which is the altitude of the highest obstacle or terrain peak within 10 nautical miles of our route, plus 1,000 feet. For this leg towards the Hoover Dam, we found that the MSA is 6,300 feet. This means that we would not plan to fly lower than 6,300 feet on this leg. Above 3,000 feet AGL, we begin to use VFR cruising levels, which is even altitudes when travelling westbound and odd altitudes for eastbound, finally adding 500 feet. As we are VFR travelling westbound, we have selected an even altitude plus 500 feet and arrived at 6,500 feet for this leg, which suits both our VFR cruising levels and MSA requirements. This means that we have reasonable assurance that if another aircraft is flying on our route in the opposite direction, we should have 1,000 feet altitude clearance from them. Just before Hoover Dam is the boundary of Las Vegas Class B airspace, but we're going to freely explore the area without ATC for this exercise. we can see the lit wall of the Hoover Dam coming up. Lit landmarks can stand out very well against dark surroundings and prove to be visible from many miles in the right conditions. When it was completed in 1936, the Hoover Dam was the largest concrete structure ever built. The hydroelectric power plant within it supplies power to millions of people across the southwest USA. Being such an enormous construction project requiring thousands of workers, a new town was built, Boulder City, which is where we're heading next. Make a left turn towards Boulder City. We're going to head towards the centre of Boulder City. We have a good view of it already, as the streetlights of the town provide great visibility. Area features such as towns and cities are one of the few features which actually become easier to see after nightfall, providing good options for night navigation. We're going to head for a major road intersection, as we can rely on it being well lit. Sports stadiums can also be good options and highly visible, but they're typically only lit when a game is on. head to a more major intersection next in Henderson. Please make a right turn towards Henderson. As you can see, Henderson is well lit at night and gives a good area feature for navigation. We can narrow this down to the clearly visible road intersection as a point feature within the city. We're reaching the intersection, so now we'll make a right turn towards a golf resort beside Lake Las Vegas. Lake Las Vegas is next, which is a small lake beside the large Lake Mead. It's surrounded by a golf resort, which is lit at night. Take a look at how lakes are harder to see at night, as they only reflect the dark night sky. Now take a left and we'll head towards Nellis Air Force Base to see how airfields look after dark. Smaller airfields often close at night, especially those without lit runways or only grass landing strips. This restricts your diversion options considerably in some areas, so more fuel availability checks and pre-flight research of potential landing spots is a good idea. Airfields are also easier to see at night from a distance. Combined with a typically lower traffic volume at night, lit airfields can make great waypoints for night VFR. Just be sure to avoid disused airfields, as these will almost certainly not be lit or distinguishable after dark. You may be able to pick out airfields by their rotating airfield beacon light, which are commonly used in the USA. You can tell the difference between a military and civil airport by how the beacon flashes. A civil airport has one green flash, then one white flash, whereas a military installation will have one green flash followed by two white flashes. Next, take us to the Veterans Hospital, which is a well-lit complex out of the city, giving a good example of a useful nighttime VFR point feature. Finally, let's head downtown to the Strip. Turn left southbound towards the Space Needle. Tall buildings require night lighting for aircraft safety, so they are equipped with red obstacle lighting. Aircraft also have night lighting, with a red light on the left wing and a green light on the right. The colour differences allow for the quick recognition of the direction of other traffic. For example, if you are looking at the left side of a passing aeroplane, you will see the red navigation light only. If you see only a green light, you are seeing the right side of that aircraft. Both red and green mean that the traffic is coming directly towards you. As you can see, it is important to give extra thought to your choice of ground feature at night, as some options become more visible, others become unusable. Next we'll head to the French Alps and see how we deal with winding valleys and alpine navigation.